They should never have taken the drum. The year was 1662, and England was still bleeding from war. In the quiet village of Tedworth, where the wind whispered through broken hedgerows and secrets clung to the damp earth, a traveling drummer arrived at the estate of John Mompesson. He was a vagrant soldier, thin, sunburnt, with eyes too sharp for a beggar. He claimed he had served the king. He claimed he had lost everything. He asked only for charity. Mompesson, a magistrate with little patience for tricksters, saw through him. The man's drum, goatskin stretched tight over hollow wood, hung from his shoulder like a second spine. He tapped it idly as he spoke, a soft, arrhythmic pulse. Tap, 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 tap. Mompesson accused him of fraud, had him whipped, had him jailed. And most damning of all, he confiscated the drum. The drummer left Tedworth in chains, but he did not leave quietly. As he was taken away, he turned once, staring at the magistrate's house on the hill. And though his lips barely moved, the words seemed to ripple across the air like a curse. "You will hear me again." That night, the house began to breathe. It started subtly, a tremor in the walls, a shiver in the glass. The servants whispered of rats in the beams, wind in the chimney. But the sky was still, the air unmoving. Then came the sound. Tap, from beneath the floorboards. Tap, tap, from inside the walls. And then, a rolling thunder of drums. The children woke screaming. Beds shook violently as though invisible hands seized them from beneath. Blankets were ripped away, chairs skidded across the floor, the chamber pots overturned themselves. The noise was relentless. Drumming. Not wild, not chaotic, deliberate, intentional. It echoed through the corridors in mocking rhythm, a military cadence, like an army marching in circles inside the walls. Mompesson ordered the house searched. Nothing. No footprints, no intruders, only the drum, locked in a chest in the attic, silent and untouched. Night after night, the assault continued. Knocking at the doors that vanished when opened. Scratching beneath the children's beds. Heavy footsteps pacing above the ceiling. One evening, the drumming synchronized with the beating of their hearts. The family felt it aligning, as if something unseen was learning their rhythms, studying them. A minister was summoned. He prayed loudly in the hall while the house answered in booming percussion. The drum beats grew stronger, faster, almost amused. The minister faltered. When he dared to challenge it, the response was immediate. The wall shook so violently that plaster rained from the ceiling. The drum thundered like cannon fire. A window shattered inward, though no stone had been thrown. And in the chaos, a voice. Low, cracked, whispering from everywhere and nowhere. "You took what was mine." Mompesson began to understand. This was no haunting. It was retaliation. But not merely from a man. Something older clung to that drum. Something bound in skin and hollow wood. Scholars were brought from London. They examined the drum by candlelight. They noted strange symbols etched faintly along the inside rim, symbols worn down by time, nearly invisible. Not English, not Latin. Older, forbidden. One scholar suggested the drum had once belonged to a sect of ritualists, men who believed rhythm could summon spirits, command storms, fracture the veil between worlds. The drummer had not been a beggar. He had been a keeper. And the drum was not an instrument. It was a key. That night, the house erupted. The drumming was deafening, no longer confined to walls and floors. It pounded in the air itself. Candles exploded in sparks. The children were lifted from their beds by unseen force. Mompesson ran to the attic. The chest was open. The drum stood upright on its own. No hands touched it. Yet it played. The skin pulsed inward and outward as if breathing. Each strike came from within. The rhythm was not random. It was summoning. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of earth and rot. Shadows gathered in the corners, lengthening unnaturally, bending toward the drum. And then, the drummer stood in the doorway. Not in flesh, but in silhouette, a shape carved from darkness. "You thought you could silence me," the figure rasped, "but you only opened the door." The drum beat shifted, deeper now, layered, as though more hands had joined the rhythm from somewhere unseen. The house trembled violently. The scholar screamed that the cadence was forming a pattern, a binding broken long ago. Mompesson lunged forward, seizing the drum. The moment his hands touched the skin, a shock tore through him. He saw visions. A circle of hooded figures in torchlight, blood spilled onto earth, rhythms used not for music, but command, things rising from beneath the soil at the drum's call. The drummer had not cursed him. He had warned him. With a cry of desperate resolve, Mompesson hurled the drum into the hearth. Flames devoured the goatskin. The rhythm faltered. The silhouette shrieked, not in pain, but in fury. The drumming grew frantic, chaotic. Then, silence. The fire burned low. The shadows withdrew. The house stood still. For the first time in weeks, the night held no sound. The drum was ash. The drummer was gone. And Tedworth slept. But years later, when the estate was abandoned and ivy claimed its walls. Villagers passing by swore they heard it. On windless nights, when the air fell heavy, a distant rhythm. Faint, persistent. Tap, 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 tap. As if something beneath the earth still remembered the pattern, still waiting for someone foolish enough